I've done my sectioning patterns for my square layers. This is going to be my first haircut that I do on my layering. So square layers, where would you use these? You could do an all over square layer cut, which is what we're going to do. And I will show you, it is absolutely fantastic. I love this cut. This is probably my favorite cut that I do in general. I love this cut. So no clipper work, it's just me and my scissors. Now, what I'm going to show you in regards to the section, I'm just going to pop David off. So you'll see here, all I have to worry about is my back panel. Now my sections on the top, I've sectioned the right side and the left side, which is just my top. I've also sectioned away the side and the other side, which is all I'm going to focus on, is that whole back panel. Now, why have I done that? Why have I done that? There's always got to be a why. So if you look at this shape that we are creating, it is a square shape. Now, all of my sections are square. Imagine you're drawing a box on someone's head. You want to create a 3D shape. This is exactly how we would set it out. So you can see, even if you look at my guide through here, you want to try and create that Y shape. So you can see the shape in the actual mannequin head, which is a Y. Always remember, there's got to be a Y, right? Which is why it's there. We're creating a square shape. To create a square shape, we need to make sure that our sections are on point and they're in the correct position. Now, this took me about 2 minutes to do. I've just sectioned everything. Very similar to the sectioning that we did for our solid form, okay? I'm not gonna run through all of my sectioning videos for you guys, because I know that once you know that first section pattern, you can pretty much replicate it for most haircuts that you wanna do. This is my most popular one. Again, we wanna make sure that the hair is nice and damp. This may not be the way that you want to cut in the shop, but this is great for practice, okay? So I just want to section one panel through the middle. Again, this is my profile guide. So I'm going to pretend that I've got my comb there, come all the way down. And I'm going to get used to changing my comb angle, making sure that I'm combing everything out of the way. Now again, the hair's a lot shorter here, remember. So a lot of this isn't going to want to sit where you want it to. So you have to be super careful when you're combing it. Make sure that you get everything out of the way of that section. Same thing on the other side. I'm just going to step over here. Again, really want you focusing on your technique here. Making sure that you're not touching that profile guide with any of the hair. Again, you can see how it wants to come down here. So I'm not going to fight it. I'm going to keep it like that, and then I'm just going to section that out of the way. So I've got my profile guide. Now, normally for square layers, you would see the head needs to be upright. You'd see either somebody would pick the length from here and cut that, or they'd pick it from the top. Now, I'm going to show you something a little bit different, which was a great tip that I have learned. Okay, when we're creating square layers, we're going to pull everything out square. So we're going to imagine that there's a wall here, everything's going to come out to it, and we're going to cut it. Each panel that I am bringing out, like this, is going to come square. It isn't going to come, this panel over here, I'm not going to bring into the middle. This panel, I'm not going to bring into the middle. Everything is going to go out square. So I'm going to imagine that there is a brick wall, and I'm going to cut everything here. Now, my body position, my fingers, my scissors, everything is going to be square for where I'm cutting. Now, how do we get that initial guide is going to be the question, okay? So we're looking for the shortest part of this. Now, the shortest part of the head is where the head rounds. So if you think about this shape, the shortest part is going to be around here. So what I'm going to do is get all of this hair out of the way. This is where 40,000 clips come in handy, guys. Cool, so what I've got here is just a little panel of hair. That's all I've got. Now what I can do in this little panel of hair is measure against my comb how short I'm going to take it. So you'll see on all of these combs you've got those little ridges. Some of them have letters on them, for example. That is for a purpose. So you can put your comb against the scalp like this. You can stretch the hair on it, and you can cut it to whatever length you want to do. Now the major thing here is, as I was saying, you want to make sure that your elevation is square. So you can see where my comb is square. That is exactly what we want to do. Now let me try and show you from this angle. You can see where I've taken my length off the comb. Now we're still going to try and keep this pretty long. So off my comb, I'm looking at where my kind of comb is ending. So I'm going to pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 off the end of the comb, okay? So again, if you feel like you've got too much hair, just take some hair away. You can put your comb like this into the scalp. All you have to do is remember which part of the comb that you actually did and what you cut off. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, snip. That means that I now have my guide through here. So if you look at me pulling this out square, you'll see that I have a guide there. I want to make sure that my elevation and my tension is correct. So a great thing to do for square layers is to always look in here. You want to look at the roots. Because if you're not looking at the roots, you don't know if your elevation is correct. And what we're going to do is work our way up. So I'm going to just drop this slightly. Now I've got my clip there holding the top section. I've got my guide through here. You can see exactly where my guide is, right there. Now I'm going to make sure that I'm combing into myself and I'm keeping all of the tension through until I hit my guide. Now you can see how square my fingers are, how square I am. I'm looking at a target in front of me, which is completely square. Now, if I cut like this, you can see I've lost tension throughout the hair. I'll know exactly when it's square because the tension is there. If you're losing tension in here, that's going to be an issue. So what we can do is cut straight up. Again, you don't have to keep every single piece with you if you don't want to. I'm now going to work from top to bottom, making sure if I'm over directing, so I'm going towards the camera, you will see that by looking at the roots. The best thing you can do is look at the roots there, guys. It's your best little point of reference, and it's going to make sure that you cut this whole section square. Always, always, always cross-check. Which means I've cut this whole guide throughout the middle. We just move this a touch. What I want to do is take a section, bring this out at the same elevation, and make sure that I've cut that square. If there is anything which is not square, you can just come through and give it a little cut over. Thankfully mine was. But if there isn't, it's fine. It's no problem. This is why we cross-check. So we cross-check purely because we want to make sure that the haircut is perfect. Now I do this on clients as well. This isn't just what I do on a mannequin head. I would make sure that everything in that first section is cross-checked, okay guys? So now what I'm gonna do, from the back, I can choose left or right. I'll choose my left-hand side just because I think it's gonna be better for the camera. I'm gonna come through, take another guide again. Again, this is all gonna be combed away. Clip it up. Now I can take my guide from the top because I've already cut that guide through. I'll show you from this angle. You can see there, I want to make sure that all of my tension on my cutting angle is correct. Because if it isn't, you're not going to create a square shape. Now, I'll show you this as well. By cross-checking, you can literally cross-check every time if you want to. You can come through, just make sure the elevation's correct and cross-check. That is probably the safest way of cutting hair. Okay guys, so that whole back is cut. Everything is square, I've cross-checked it. Doing the correct elevation to make sure as well. I've come through, came through, any little pieces, bum, 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 and I've cut off, okay? Please, please, please cross-check. Please cross-check your work, okay? So the sides, a lot of people would say, how do I connect the sides to the back and whatever, okay? So this is the best tip I ever got taught. Comb out the hair. So you can see that there's a rounding of the head as well. If you look this way, rounding of the head, okay? That's on everybody's head. So what you want to do is pick the spot which is most rounded. And you're going to come through and count on your comb again. So you want to make sure that it's parallel to your target. The hair is nice and tense, exactly the same tension as what you did on the back. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it come through, cut. Cool? Then you have your guide. So that's your guide throughout the sides now. And I would do exactly the same on the top. So if you look at the top of the head, where it's curved, this is the shortest part. I'm going to bring up that hair and I'm going to cut it exactly where I cut the back and the sides to that 5th notch on my comb. Everything is kept square. So when we lift this, that on top will all be square. Now the head rounds, so this length and that length will be a little bit longer, but the whole purpose is to make sure that this is all lifted up and square. Now what I'll do, I'll zoom through the cut and show you the end result. We'll do a little bit of styling on this one, use our sea salt spray and a diffuser as well.